Hey everybody, Anthony, 4B4 Diesel. It's not really an inspection. We're going to have a quick chit chat about what we do on a 160k service, for example. That's what this one is, what we've just done, and what's a little bit different to, because there's the book and there's what we do, because the book was designed and written before the vehicles were on the road, and we deal with what we see and what the vehicles really need. So this is an important one to stick around, something to think about. So 160k service, it's a bit of a major service. So on this one, on a 160k service, standard stuff like changing the front diff oil, that's done. Working down every 20,000 kilometers is the rear fuel filter, so that's done. Okay, every one of these, every 40 is the rear diff oil, that's done. Of course, we check the brakes and all that other sort of thing we do in inspections. An optional one is the transfer case oil, which we have changed, so that's done. Another idea is a transmission flush. We haven't done on this one because a few things are adding up, a bit of expense there. So, you know, you want to, spread the cost maybe onto the next one. Look at that, bone dry turbo looks good. This is an 09. Brake fluid flush, you can see that's why there's a bit of brake fluid there. That's all about to get washed up. We finished off underneath the vehicle. So as far as underneath the vehicle goes, lubricate the driveline every service. What else have we done underneath that I've forgotten? Is that it? Diff oils, transfer case, fuel filter. Generally tyres and wheels, we don't do balancing and we don't check tyre pressures. Everyone's got different wheels and tyres and different pressures. I don't want to upset things, and wherever you buy your tyres, generally they want to get you back, so they include free rotate and balance every 10,000 k's. A lot of places do that, so I assume that's what's happening. So we don't do wheel and tyre maintenance. We specialise in the harder stuff, all the easy stuff we leave for, hopefully they can, you know what, it's funny I say this, but I'm just having some text conversation with someone on the phone about vibrations and that. When there's a vibration in the front, it's about 100 k's plus, it's just about always wheel balance or the wheels and problems with the wheels and tyres. And your best wheels and tyres, of course, are genuine wheels. And these actually balance up and drive really well, these tyres, but a lot of people aren't going to end up with those because, like a lot of things, they just go and have to get something better or different, even quite often when they don't need them. And these are probably the best tyres for a lot of people out there. So that's it underneath, isn't it? Yeah, so it's not an inspection. Let's have a look under the bonnet and see what else we've done up there as part of our 160k service. So this one's a little bit grotty, a bit dusty and dirty, gets used out on the track, cops a bit of dust, but that's right, it'll get cleaned up as part of our service. These are finishing things that are yet to be done. So brake fluid change, obviously, so you've got new brake fluid in there and it's bled through the whole system. We check the air and cabin filter as part of most services as well, especially if they've got dust like this. Even though it's not part of the 160 service, this one, it's done fairly low Ks for an 09, and therefore whoever was looking after it, Mr. T, they did all these extra services kind of off kilometres, but on going by where they should have just filled in those extra services at the back, if you know what I mean. But look, they did the 150, has got the air and cabin filter. They did it early, I think at about 140 or even earlier, something like that. So the air filter and the cabin filter was dirty. So we've replaced those as well. We didn't mention the K-on diff replacement plug. So if you're getting a service from us or one of the workshop partners or yourself, you might want to have one of those front diff drain plugs handy as a replacement, because most people have over tightened and damaged those previously. So you can put a new genuine one in and then manage it, make sure it's torque to spec, don't let anyone work on it. Careful who you let work on your vehicles. Fuel filter was done at the last service, so we didn't worry about that on this one. But we've cleaned the MAP filter, because this one still hasn't had an EGR clean, that sort of thing. So the MAP filter will get replaced when the EGR and possibly the manifold, but most likely just the EGR gets clean and the injectors get done. Still original injectors as far as we know, so a little bit capped and risky. So, and what else have we done? I cleaned the MAF sensor over here. Of course, you can change the air filter. You clean the MAF sensor. Coolant flush. Now, coolant we did because we didn't do the timing belt back then. This is only the second time the vehicle's been to us. We're trying to fix it up, get it back on schedule. We would have recommended and done a BFE job, but that didn't happen. But we don't really want to waste money and go in there and do the timing belt again. And so it's kind of a bit not what we would do. The standard 160k has a coolant flush, but we bring it forward to 150, do it with the BFE job, the timing belt, the idler, the bearings, all this stuff. Every 150k, it makes sense. Most people do that. If you see this video, it's probably bad timing at the moment. Always check the Prado Hospital Facebook page. before you make contact for parts purchase, but it's usually Monday morning, 7:30 a.m. with a text message, and I can organise that BFE kit. But if we're closed, if we're fully booked, we're doing maintenance, we're away, doing other stuff, taking a break, maybe on a holiday, then yeah, we won't be able to help you with that. But that's why that looks nice and clean. Obviously, the cooling system's yet to be bled. I didn't do the dual battery install, not too bad, but once again, you got that earth over there on the head. I don't know why they go across there to do that when, you know, anyway, let's not talk about that. Anything else exciting we saw that I've forgotten about that we did or that we can tell them about that, you know? Always make sure your batteries are secure in your battery terminals. You can take the clamp off that, open up the cover there and check the fluid level for maintenance, even though it's made to be seen to be maintenance, low maintenance or maintenance free. They can be maintained, so worth checking probably every now and then, even at your, you know, at your major services, if not every service. It's worth doing a power steering flush every now and then. It's not part of every schedule. We're not doing it now, but I'm just putting a couple of things out there. Like the next service 170 is a relatively minor service, so it saves a lot of money as far as it's not a big service like this one already. So mental note, probably worth doing things like chuck a power steering flush and a transmission flush onto the 170. That way, you know, it brings the cost up a bit, and, you know, the cost of the major service is already up. You know what I mean? Sort of just balances out each service. And to be honest, with a four-wheel drive that's got some kilometres on it that you want to maintain properly, you've probably got a budget $1,000 a service, more or less, depending what it needs. And of course, over and above service, you've probably got a budget a couple thousand a year, which isn't a lot of money, to maintain a full drive that takes you around the country, camping, touring, travelling reliably. And if you don't do that, then it might become less reliable and less of a pleasure to drive, sort of thing. So just be aware of that. Make sure the battery's secure, battery terminals. Anyway, these are the sorts of things we do. We can check on the injector feedback values, but we already know on these vehicles, as I already said in previous videos, the feedback values on this one, they're not going to tell us much. We can give it a rev and check for smoke. We can do things, but it's not going to tell us much. What tells us the most is when we put the new injectors in and then it idles rough until the computer says, hey, well, we've got to fix that up now, because that's what it does. It makes adjustments to compensate for those old flogged injectors. And when we put new ones in, that's when we sort of get a fair idea that was maybe something wrong with the old ones. And of course, the other thing we've done is an oil change, oil filter, right? So the oil filter's down there, hidden down there behind everything. Of course, oil and filter on every service. I wasn't going to talk about the basic stuff. While we're at it, always be very careful not to lean on that top radiator thing there, because they break. And the other thing to think about when a bigger battery's been put in, that aircon pipe down there, make sure it's not pushed out of the clips across there and up over here rubbing. But in this case, it must be a GX. It's a GX, yeah, because it hasn't got that pipe there. So a GX is a really good vehicle to have. Congratulations on whoever's got this vehicle. Beautiful. And the best color as well. Look, silver. Beautiful. All right, what else we got? That's about it, isn't it? That's enough yak, yak, yak. That's enough waffle. Those that listen got the information. Those that complain, you can go somewhere else and do whatever you do. All the best. Hit the like button if you learned something. And I'll catch you on the next video. Subscribe, turn the bell on. See ya. Anyway, every engine bay gets a nice wash down at the end, so then we can see what's going on. And of course, all the areas we worked on, all around all the wheels, where all the brakes were bled, all the calipers under, over, around, all of that, around the fuel filter, all those sort of areas where we've made any mess. So the vehicle certainly comes back a lot cleaner than it was afterwards, than it was before. And that's a bada bing, bada boom.